Welcome to First Unitarian Society of Minneapolis, the birthplace of congregational humanism. We carry on that tradition of free thought today, dedicated to promoting a free search for truth, meaning, and justice. Our web address is firstunitarian.org. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. I'm glad to share some songs with you this morning. The first one uses a poem by the famous Unitarian and Transcendentalist philosopher Ralph Waldo Emerson. For the Transcendentalist, there is more to nature than meets the eye, that there is beauty, there is music, not just in flowers and birds and the stars, but even in the mud and scum of things. Let me go where I will. I hear a sky-born music still. It sounds from all things old. It sounds from all things young. From all that's fair, from all that's foul, peals out a cheerful song. It is not only in the rose, it is not only in the bird, not only where the rainbow glows, or in the song of voices heard, but in the darkest, meanest things, there always something sings. 'Tis not in the high stars alone, nor in the cup of budding flowers, nor in the red-breast mallow tone, nor in the bow that smiles in showers. But in the mud and scum of things, there always something sings. There always something sings.
And welcome to the First Unitarian Society on this overcast, rainy March morning here in Minneapolis, Minnesota, in this month when we are focusing on practicing trust, and at this time of year when we can trust the weather to be very unpredictable, and on this day when we're talking about what trust requires of us. Whatever brought you here today, however you're choosing to show up, or whatever you're hoping for, I hope you can trust that you are in just the right place right now. This Unitarian Universalist humanist congregation is a place where we come together to learn more about being human. And we're here because we believe that being together is a pretty darn good way to go through life, whatever it may bring. As Ram Dass has said, we're just walking each other home. First Unitarian Society is a member congregation of the Unitarian Universalist Association of Congregations, and I'm Rev Jullan Stoneberg, your interim minister. Our programming is on-site live, on-demand 24/7, and online live right now. There are a whole bunch of people, friends online, joining us from all over the metro area and beyond right now. While we acknowledge that words are not enough, we remind ourselves of the need to walk humbly upon this land, This magnificent land and its vibrant waterways, which are the cultural, spiritual, and indigenous homeland of the Dakota Oyate. We acknowledge that we continue to benefit from the unfavorable treaties and military campaigns and settler colonialism, which reshaped the history of the Dakota people. May we endeavor to work more closely and more reparatively with the peoples whose homeland we occupy. We are a multi-generational community, and there's always room for families and kids here in the Assembly Hall, as evidenced by the space that's created for them there. There's also childcare available down the hall to the left as you exit this space. And note that there's also a place set aside for those who choose to remain masked and would like to sit with others who are masked. And now I invite you, wherever you are, to take a moment to greet the morning, to welcome those around you, and perhaps make a special effort to greet someone you don't know. You can wave to people online using that camera up there, and those of you who are online can certainly move over to YouTube so that you can join the chat and say hello to each other there. This is a great time to get a gray hymnal, a gray songbook if you'd like one, or to use the QR code that you'll see on the screen to access an order of service. So welcome all, and welcome each other. I invite you, all of us now, to just take a deep breath, to settle into this time and space, to these moments, center yourself. Today's opening words, reminding us of our many connections, were written by Katie Kandarian Morris, hoping and trusting for so many things. Here we have come into this sacred space, quieter now with our readiness, hushed voices, hoping, trusting for so many things, for connection, for communion, for inspiration, for information, for healing, for wholeness, for words, for music, for celebration and consolation. Here we have come into this space bringing all of who we are. Let us be willing, however we are changed. So Perry is going to come to light our chalice flame, and those of you at home are encouraged to also create a bit of light with a candle or a flashlight right along with us. We all need a little warmth and light right now. Our flames everywhere all at once are lit today with words from Project Plowshares, a Canadian Peace Research Institute, slightly adapted. I invite you to read the words on the screen along with me. Lead us from death to life, from falsehood to truth. Lead us from despair to hope, from fear to trust. Lead us from hate to love, from war to peace. Let peace fill our hearts, our world, our universe. Our flames lit, our chalice is lit, and our flames are burning, and I invite you to speak our congregational covenant with me. Love is the spirit of this place, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Thanks, Perry. So let's sing. This song was composed in 1992, combining the words and music of two Unitarian Universalists, Reverend Carl Seaberg and Thomas Benjamin. We chose it for today because its words encourage us to go and do things that sustain life, even when they may be unfamiliar or uncomfortable to us. So let's hear Amos play it through once, and then I invite you to rise in body and our spirit as we sing Be That Guide, which is 124 in the Grace Songbook.
First Unitarian Society is a congregational humanist community. We're here for each other, our neighbors, and our planet. And one manifestation of that is our caring team. I'm a member of that team, and we're here for you. If at any time there's something happening in your life that you'd like to share with the care team or with this community, or if you need some support, please send a note to Joys and Concerns at firstunitarian.org. You can also do this using the contact form on our website. After the assembly, you're invited to stop by the card basket downstairs and send a note to folks you're especially thinking of today, or to people we mention in Joys and Concerns. Ruth Agar was admitted to Methodist Hospital last night for some tests. Reverend Jullan spoke with her this morning, and she's doing fine. Her sons are with her, and she just wanted you, her friends, to know. I share news that we can all celebrate. April 1st marks Tim Roll's 10th year anniversary here at the university. Is he here? He's probably out wandering around trying to fix things up. He plays an invaluable role here at FUS, and we're all so fortunate that he's our director of facilities. To celebrate him, there is cake to go along with today's mini meal. Yay. We have ongoing concern for all of those whose status in our country means they are being targeted for deportation and are living with so many painful unknowns for our families that we supported, our Ukrainian families and now our Afghan family, as well as for the thousands of people who have lost or are in danger of losing their jobs. May the current administration be held accountable for its impact on all these people, their lives, and the lives of people they serve. On this day, we also mark Transgender Day of Visibility, which is officially tomorrow, March 31st, Tuesday.
Oops, it's Monday, isn't it? It's so appropriate that we take this time during Joys and Concerns, because in this political climate, we have serious concerns about the safety and human rights of our transgender siblings of all ages. We also have so much to celebrate about the ways in which their presence in the world brings joy to existence for all of us. This poem by Sharon Wiley was written for this day. It's called Wholeness. And as I read it, Adele will light candles of celebration, witness, and affirmation for all those who identify as transgender in our community and in our world. We speak so often of brokenness. Let us speak today of wholeness. You are welcome here, all of you, every part of you beautiful just the way you are. Here, you do not need to be something more or something less. No holding back, no hiding, no exerting yourself, no trying to do more or be more. You have inherent worth and dignity. Nothing to prove here. Nothing to prove to me or the person sitting next to you or to the children or to anyone. You don't have to try to be witty or more quiet or more outgoing. You are beautiful, every part of you beautiful just the way you are. You do not need to change anything about yourself to be welcome here. Your skin, your hair, your belly, your limbs, your face, all beautiful just the way they are. You are extraordinary. Each and every one of you different from each and beautiful in your own beautiful way. Breathtaking. And just to make it so very, very clear that each one is loved, we're sharing a video. The opening describes where this video comes from. I'll just add that during an online business meeting, Reverend Jakaran Olaoya used every second of her allotted time to speak one unambiguous message.
During UUA General Assembly in June, a debate over a business resolution that affirms and celebrates trans, non-binary, and other gender-expansive people prompted Reverend Jakaran Olaoya to speak from the heart. Her words went viral online.
To my trans, non-binary, intersex, or gender diverse beloveds, lean in, lean in. I love you. I love you. I love you. Please do not leave this space without feeling my love and the love of others who see you as divine. I love you. You are divine. I love you. You are holy. I love you. You know who you are. I love you. You are worthy of being whoever you need to be to survive and thrive in this world. I love you, and I will say it for 50 seconds if I need to. I love you. 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 Do not leave this space without knowing that you are loved. If you are ever in doubt, call me, email me, text me, because what we will not do in this space is let you go another moment believing anything other than the fact that you are loved deeply just as you are. I love you. I love you. I love you.
And may Reverend Jullan speak for all of us.
So let's take a moment to connect with our shared humanity, to embrace and celebrate the beautiful range of human diversity, to commit ourselves to showing up for those who need support, and to remember all who are suffering. You're invited in these moments to reflect on all the joys, losses, griefs, and milestones in our lives, in the lives of those we love, and in the lives of all beings everywhere. May all be safe, happy, and well. A moment of silence.
We have sung this song several times this month, and today we're going to sing it in a round again. So we'll sing it through twice in unison, and then we'll break into a two-part round with this half following me and this half following Paul. And Paul's side will begin when we get to the rounding part. It's I Know This Rose Will Open. You'll find it at 396 in the songbook. So here we go.
Well, all this month we've been exploring the experience of trust, and today, in considering what trust might require of us, I'm going to share a poem that disconnects trust from certainty. It suggests that doubt opens new possibilities. And it's called The Edge of Doubt by Albert Hofstadter. Okay. So, there's always that edge of doubt. Trust it. Because that's where the new things come from. If you can't live with it, well, get out, because when it's gone, you're on automatic. Repeating something you've learned. No, let your prayer be, save me from that tempting certainty that leads me back from the edge, the dark edge, where the first light breaks. Because there is always that edge of doubt. Trust it. That's where the new things come from. And if you can't live with it, get out, because when it's gone, you're on automatic. Repeating something you've learned. But let your prayer be, save me from that tempting certainty. That certainty that leads me back from the edge. That dark edge. Where the first light breaks.
As you can see, this song was written by a friend of ours, Linda Kalkemeyer from St. Paul. She called her song Like Moonlight, but it comes from a poem actually called Mother. I was lucky to have a really wonderful mother, and with her in mind, I sing this song. Your love was like moonlight, turning harsh things to beauty, so that little eyes souls beheld in your luminous spirit their own reflection, their own reflection, transfigured as in a shining stream, and loved you for what they are not. You are less an image in my mind than a lustre. I see you in gleams, pale as starlight, pale as starlight on a gray wall, evanescent as the reflection of a white swan, shimmering in broken water. Your love was like moonlight, turning harsh things to beauty, harsh things to beauty, harsh things to beauty. Thank you.
So I don't know about you, but trust is kind of a big thing for me right now. Every time I turn around, everyone I talk to, every podcast or news story, I think about trust. Can I trust this? Can I trust you? Is this true? I know this is a result of so many things that I've historically relied on being dismantled and broken down. Trust is a big thing these days. Warren Buffett once said that trust is like the air we breathe. When it's present, nobody really notices, and when it's absent, everybody notices. And so if his words can be trusted, that means that I'm noticing trust these days because it's absent. And I really don't think that's a good thing for our hearts and our relationships or our general sense of well-being. Distrust is not healthy for humanity's thriving. We've talked already about what it is we can rely on. Things like trusting that there are lessons everywhere, that life is imbued with mystery and beauty, and that we have the capacity to act and to change, that love is a powerful thing. And we've talked about how important it is to trust in community, especially in these times, about how showing up for community over and over again is one of the bravest things we can do, knowing that the only real liberation is collective liberation, and the only path to healing is one that's wide enough for all of us in community. And today I'm reflecting on what trust requires of us, which is essentially the willingness to engage in the practice of trust and to build or rebuild or repair trust when we've lost it or felt betrayed by it. If, as Marilyn Robinson has said in a review of the book Trust Me for the New York Times, it is trust that knits up the world, then trust is a stuff peculiarly liable to fraying and raveling. I've always loved the image of woven things, tapestries and quilts and hand-knit sweaters, and then Indira's web and the interconnected web of all existence, images of disparate things woven together with intricate patterns of connection, and in that process creating something that's more than the sum of its parts, stronger and more beautiful. And Robinson is saying that trust is like this. It is woven and can be unwoven. It can become frayed at the edges. Just as trust can be something that binds us together, it can also unravel. And so it falls to us to find ways to continue weaving and to mend the torn places. Now, of course, this assumes that we actually want to make a whole, that we believe existing within circles of trust is a desirable thing. So do we believe that? Do you? I wonder how important it is to us to build and maintain trust in our relationships. How willing are we to do what it requires of us? My colleague Rod Richards once spoke about a study about trust that was published by the Association for Psychological Science, where it was reported that our trust in each other diminishes as cultural individualism replaces community building. Our trust in each other diminishes as cultural individualism replaces community building. Cultural individualism inserts a kind of skepticism into our personal lives. It sees each individual or family as virtually its own country, with specific interests in mind, always suspicious of the goals of every other country, every other family, every other individual. As cultural individualists, we can only imagine another person's interests must conflict with ours. If there is any trust within such a system, it is, as President Reagan loved to say, trust, but verify. If we exist within cultural individualism, we make promises reluctantly, because to make promises essentially means to give something up, to have to compromise. I probably don't need to say that cultural individualism is completely antithetical to living within beloved community. Beloved community is all about seeing ourselves as inextricably interwoven with all that surrounds us, with all that exists. Beloved community understands that our own well-being is dependent on the well-being of everything and everyone else, that no one is free unless all are free, that no one is safe unless all are safe. Beloved community is all about making promises and commitments to one another, and if there's an absence of trust within cultural individualism, it follows that there must be a wealth of trust within beloved community. Rather than trust but verify, within beloved community we must say, trust even when. Okay, I know some caveats are necessary here. There are people and relationships and situations that are not trustworthy, and no one need privilege trust over safety or over a need to prevent violence or harm. So please hear that. Not everything is trustworthy. Yet still, I know there are times, because I've experienced them, when knee-jerk distrust shows up, when we enter pre-offended and predisposed to find the places where errors or mistakes have been made. So I only ask that when distrust shows up, you be willing to examine your hearts to see if that distrust is really warranted, and if you might be able to soften, to open up more understanding, more compassion, more trust, more authentic relationship, in service of reweaving trust. You know that Unitarian Universalism is a covenantal faith. We are bound or woven together by covenant, which is in and of itself a radical act of trust. In making covenants with one another, we're saying that we trust one another to also be in service of beloved community. Our covenants with one another express what's required of us in relationship with one another. Now, in my opinion, covenant is not as visible here at FUS as it could be, and perhaps at the topic for the May foraging session. But that said, there is a covenant that you are quite familiar with as you speak it most Sundays. We said its words together earlier. Love is the spirit of this place, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Love is the spirit of this place. We are here seeking how to dwell together in peace and how to seek the truth in love, promising to help one another in that process. And it seems to me that if we truly live this covenant and what it requires of us, distrust could not survive. Because the covenant requires us to believe that everyone here making that covenant has the same goals: peace, truth, love, service. Yes, covenant. Covenant, even when we can't verify that trust is warranted for each individual. Sure, even within covenant, trust relies on individual commitments, but covenant is rooted in the idea that we create trust together. It's a communal effort, that we're better together, that we can only be our authentic whole selves in relationship. And covenant requires us to let go of protecting our individual interests and to instead pursue, insist on the common good. Now, living into covenant, intentionally practicing covenant, is what makes us trustworthy, which makes our community trustworthy. The ability to trust is kind of a muscle of the heart that's exercised through the practice of covenant. And yet, of course, we do not do this perfectly. The fabric tears or frays. Sometimes we do something that betrays someone's trust in us, and other times it's someone else who disappoints us. Here again, a well-practiced covenant can serve us as we navigate repairing that harm and rebuilding trust. Living in covenant, we call one another back into that covenant, and we mend together. Even when trust is broken, it can sometimes allow us to access a deeper trust in our own selves, a trust that we can survive and learn even from our failures and suffering. I actually found myself singing Leonard Cohen's anthem this week. You know, there is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. Mending the tears, reweaving community can show us the paradoxical nature of life itself. How it is that when our hearts are broken, that can also be the time that they can be broken open to something new, some new understanding, some new love. It's like what was expressed in the poem Chuck read earlier. When we come up against doubt, up against our knee-jerk distrust, if we're able to lean in and choose trust, we can discover that this is where new things come from. This is where the light gets in. You know, when I first read that quote from Marilyn Robinson about how it's trust that knits up the world and is a stuff peculiarly liable to fraying and raveling, I experienced doubt. Raveling's not a word, I thought. Must be a mistake, must be a typo. Unraveling is a word, but raveling? Did she mean unraveling or did she mean the opposite? So I looked it up. I suppose you could say I went to verify my distrust. But instead I found something new. Not only did I learn that my distrust was unwarranted, I learned that there is a word ravel, and ravel can mean both becoming entangled and enmeshed, and can mean coming apart. Ravel and unravel are both synonyms and antonyms of each other. Isn't that crazy? Maybe we can come to see how it is that trust is strengthened by the reweaving after it's been torn. Maybe the commitment to knit together our individual threads exposes us to vulnerabilities of unraveling, even as it ensures that we can become more deeply connected to one another. In these times, 3 words that must now be the most uttered phrase anywhere. In these times, many forces are trying to drive us apart. And it takes all of our individual and collective strength to resist those forces and to insist that we are not alone and that we'll show up for one another, that we will trust in our human capacity to be compassionate. And we have to be willing, as we stand at this precipice, to practice trust with one another and to trust that this is how the light gets in. May it be so. So last fall we sang this Holly Near song, I Am Willing, and I think this is the right time to sing it again. So please rise as you're willing and able, and let's sing. The words are on the screen. What seems so strange, it dishonors those who go before us. So lift me up to the light of change. There is hurting in my family. There is sorrow
Morning. My name is Lisa Green, and I'm a member of the FUS Board of Trustees. And what I've noticed in my role as a trustee is that I've gotten to know our staff and understand the scope of their jobs. And so in reflecting on Warren Buffett's words today from Rev Jullan's reflection, trust is like the air we breathe. When it's present, nobody really notices. When it's absent, everybody notices. So, have you noticed or had reason to notice that all of the deposits are made and the bills and the staff get paid on time? That the facility is always clean and ready for all of the numerous activities and events that we have? That the kids are taken care of and have a great educational experience? That the mini meal is always there when we go downstairs after assembly? That if you are watching from home, we have an online presence. It's always there at 10:30, and we have a great tech crew every week. That we have great music and new musicians that we can experience every week. That we always have thoughtful and meaningful assemblies. And you know, if you need something done in the office, it is going to happen. So if you haven't had a chance or had to think or worry about any of these things, it's because we have an amazing staff and that we can trust that these things will always happen. So I invite you to think of this as I recite the official ask. First Unitarian Society is a free, independent, and self-governing humanist community. As members and friends of this community, we share the gifts of our time and energy, our creativity, our imagination and vision, our talents, our skills, and our treasure. Your financial support is an important element in turning our shared vision into reality. As the baskets are passed, you are invited to give generously and joyfully as you are willing and able. Checks can be made out to the First Unitarian Society, or FUS. You can also use the QR code on the screen, which will take you to our online giving form. You can also stop by the office or mail in your donation. And please, feel free to reach out to us with any questions about giving to First Unitarian Society.
Good morning. My name is Cindy Picata, and I'm a member of the Ministerial Transition Team. One of our team's goals is to bring our congregation's past to light so that we can learn from it and use the tools from our history to shape the future of FUS. After assembly today at 12:15, the transition team is putting on a history smash here in the Upper Assembly Hall. All are welcome to attend and participate in a deep dive into a portion of our history and how it relates to the present. This is the third in a series of 6 History Smash events, which take place monthly. Today's History Smash is focused on the period 1936 to 1951, and it's titled Resilience in the Face of Challenge and Change. So here's a preview. There were so many challenges and decisions that First Unitarian Society members had to make from John Dietrich's ministry up until the arrival of Karl Storm that I must skim. Our religious education for children, offering nature, science, and world cultures, has been strong since 1896, even though John Dietrich quipped that children should be, quote, brought up Lutheran so they'd have something to rebel against as adults. Funny guy. In fact, the children's 2-hour program pushed the adults to add the hour-long Forums lecture series on Sunday mornings. Music, similarly, has always been central for us. Even when Dietrich's services had to be held in downtown theaters to seat 1,000, our members' instrumental groups and choruses played for us. And as you can see in another photo here, this is our choir, and they had a sense of humor. But the Great Depression hit us hard, and we responded. Gas was expensive, attendance dropped, though our membership always hovered around 400 to 500. Thorpe brothers, who bought our old building, couldn't pay, and they defaulted. Dietrich asked to have his $10,000 salary reduced to $6,000. Then, knowing his need for an assistant, he offered to split the $6,000 with Ray Bragg, who came on at $4,000. In 1932, member Carl Lewis and others launched a humanist credit union. In its first 3 years, it made 90 loans. In 1941, some of us formed the Minnesota Memorial Society so that people could access less expensive cremation. Other members, among them Drs. Maurice Vischer and Neil Galt, began researching ways to create an affordable healthcare cooperative. This would eventually blossom as Group Health in 1955 and today as Health Partners. Still, we were squeezed in at the house on Loring Park, and we knew we needed a new home. The board appointed a committee to search for possible building sites. The committee reported back in 1937. They found a site on Mount Curve off Hennepin Avenue. It was for sale at $15,200. Elation and disagreements ensued. Among the voiced objections was this: the land was just too far from Minneapolis. More meetings were scheduled and rescheduled. A small, strong contingent of us demanded a second search committee be named. The need for space for us was more than pressing, however, and so, wanting a decisive vote to purchase the Mount Curve lot, Ray Bragg and John Dietrich collected 440 proxy votes to show up for the annual meeting and swing us to purchase. As the meeting opened, the board learned that they were being sued by 14 society members. At this news, Carl Lewis had a heart attack and expired right there. This was a great loss. He was a wonderful man. He'd been an active and generous member for decades. That meeting was promptly adjourned. John Dietrich resigned. 2 weeks later, society members met again, and this time they voted to purchase the Mount Curve site, where we are today. The lawsuit dragged all the way to the Minnesota Supreme Court and cost huge legal fees and headaches. Still, at the 1940 annual meeting, when one voice made a motion to banish the troublesome 14 members, another voice moved, and it was resoundingly voted to proclaim forgiveness. Only in 1945 did we hire architects Long and Thorshaw to sketch plans for a building. Ray Bragg left 2 years later to head the Unitarian Service Committee in war-ravaged Europe. Fortunately, a pulpit committee had been hunting for another minister. You'll hear about that next month. If you join us today here for the 12:15 History Smash, you'll hear more details, and you'll hear from Madeline Chiocci about important ways that members were advocating for health care for all Minnesotans during these dramatic years. I hope you can join us.
So I hope you're all thinking about what our history tells us about us. Today, directly after the assembly, join us for some hands-on humanism, making snack bags for MCTC students struggling with food security. That happens right outside the lower assembly hall, and all are welcome to join in that. If you want to know more about this community, you're invited to attend our Welcome to FUS information session next Sunday from noon to 1. That's April 6th. And if you're interested in becoming a member of our congregation, please join us for our Pathway to Membership session. That'll be held on Saturday, April 12th from 10 to noon. That'll give us a deeper dive into life here at FUS. Lunch will be provided along with conversations about humanism, the structure of the society, and what membership means. And childcare will be provided, so reach out to Suzanne at membership@firstunitarian.org for more details. Next Sunday, Ethical Explorers resumes our normal modality, 10:30 in the Chalice Room, taught by Zola. And thanks to all the families that attended our teaching artist workshops throughout March. And also at noon next Sunday, you can join Zola for our monthly all-ages Community Posters for Change event outside the lower assembly hall. We know there is a great need for posters these days. There are still some spots remaining in the Adult OWL Trainer Facilitation that's taking place on April 25th to April 27th. This training is free for members. It's normally a cost of $350. Meals are provided. If we have trained facilitators, we'd love to offer Adult OWL next year. So come join our amazing team of facilitators and register before the class fills up. You can see the Friday update for a link. So if you're here in person, I hope that you'll be able to join us downstairs for conversation and our weekly mini meal. If you're able, we have a donation jar and credit card reader, or you can scan a QR code if you want to make a donation for the meal. And the meal today is a terrific taco bar for all, which features both omnivore or universal selections. There's also grab-and-go burritos and chef's choice from the high table. And of course, there's cake. So, as we close, let's thank everyone for their joyful and capable participation. There are so many to thank: Perry and Adele and Chuck and Lisa, the tech crew, and Cindy and the cooks and their helpers, and many others. Thank you all. So let's wrap up our time together by extinguishing our chalice. Please join Perry and me in speaking the words on the screen. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. All of these we carry in our hearts and in our minds until we're together again. Thank you. Now take all these things into your hearts and take a moment to breathe and soak in all that we've shared today as we get to experience one more piece of music. Paul and Amos, thank you so much.
My last song uses a poem by Sarah Teasdale called The Songmaker. They say every cloud has a silver lining. But according to this poem, some gifts of silver come with clouds.
I need 100 little songs that told the joy and pain of love, and sang them blithely, though I know no whit thereof. I was a weaver, deaf and blind. A miracle was wrought for me, but I have lost my skill to weave, since I can see, can see, can see.
to extinguish these candles that we may express to one another every day in every way, you are loved. You are loved. You are loved. You're loved. You are loved. I love you. We love you. And let us go out with the words of Angeline Jackson in the small moments. May we remember that trust, like love, grows in small moments, in promises kept and confidences held, in boundaries respected and amends made, in showing up again and again. May we be brave enough to risk trust, patient enough to build it slowly, and gentle enough with ourselves and others when it breaks. So now go out into the world, be fearless, hold on to what is good, strengthen the weak, comfort the fearful, serve the suffering, rejoice in the power of the human spirit. May it be so.
Thank you.